Is our last presenter for today. We're so excited for this, Nav. So please take the floor and tell us who you are.
Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Grizzlies, for being here today, dedicating your time to listen to our pitch on this beautiful sunny day. So who am I? My name is Nav Shea. I grew up in India around a very strong, fierce leader, my grandma. She taught me the value of courage and resilience. I put those values in my back pocket as our family of four decided to uproot our well-settled life in India to immigrate to Canada. We landed in Canada with three things: no jobs, no connections, and barely understanding English. In those tough times, I decided to finance my own education in business, in majoring in finance and HR from University of Alberta. So I have a unique understanding of people and numbers. So what is my value as an HR professional? What I do for organizations is help you save money and create profits by igniting innovation into old HR practices. My North Star is Master Coach. I have a natural coaching ability to lead people from uncertainty and overwhelm into action. What I do great and my passion is optimizing results. I often find myself doing 20% of the changes that create 80% of the results. In my experience working for the government, instead of trying to fit in a box, I found myself challenging status quo and innovating new ways to hire, engage, and retain talent. In my short career there, I found myself winning multiple awards, creating a lasting impact, and started being known as a positive HR disruptor at work. So what's next for HR? I think it's time to disrupt HR again in our post-COVID economy. It's time we take HR from a functional support role into bold leadership and step into the arena of creating sustainable talent. Creating sustainability in organizations. And that dictates my next role. I want to work as a people and a culture consultant for tech companies who either have a strong employee engagement culture or want to create one. So my ask of Grizzlies today is I am a month in, new to Calgary, and I am looking to create connections working in the tech industries for companies like Amazon or Benevity, who are futuristic companies, but yet very grounded on strong company values, or any other company you think would appreciate my value. Last but not least, I would like to thank our fierce leader, Jackie, and amazing cohort for making me be successful in this program. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nav. Great. Beautiful. And I also appreciate your beautiful art behind you there. Very nice. Tell us a bit more about what this looks like. What does it mean to you to be to take it to a bold new level?
Yeah, I think in my career, in HR career of the last 10 years, I've seen HR being treated as something like, recruiters working in silos in a corporate office that get on the phone with you to put a posting up and to source and do interviews and hire talent. I think bold leadership right now is in demand, is going to be in demand, because moving forward, our employees are going to look for employers that have a strong employee engagement culture. So if HR doesn't step into the bold leadership and create programs that not only attract, but also engage that in-house talent and in the end up retaining that talent, I think then we're not using HR to its full purpose. So that's what I mean by bold leadership. And I think in order to create sustainable change in the organization moving forward in post-COVID, culture and developing in-house talent is going to be critical, because companies are going to have less budgets to give to the HR staff. HR staff won't be hiring 5 engineers like they did in the oil and gas boom. We're not going to be hiring 3 engineers or 2 engineers who are going to be required to do more with less. So that requires bold leadership and creating corporate executive programs that develop our in-house talent.
Okay, thank you very much. Over to the Grizzlies. Please step in.
Very nice opening presentation, Nav. Thank you very much. I'm wondering if you can get into more specifics about improving employee engagement. You talked about it from sort of a broad level, but what are some initiatives that you could see doing that, based on your past experience, need to be done to create that engagement?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Mike, for the question. I think what needs to happen is when I go into an organization and I'm either creating or managing a strong employee engagement culture, is I would take a look at where the company has come so far. What are the things that are working for them? So I would sit down with the managers. The middle managers is usually where you find out all the pain points of the organization. You know, those are the people who are working with the frontline members, but also being the bridge work between the CEOs and the frontline workers. So I would sit down with the middle managers, call for meetings, do some needs assessments, see what have we been doing great so far, what are some pain points, and then looking at analytics, where are we struggling as a company? Is our turnover really high? Is our absenteeism really high? You know, is it that we are struggling in, maybe we're attracting good talent, but just to lose them 6 months down the road? So I would ask them what the needs are of the organization. Where are we at today? And then I would create a goal, a vision for our company. Where do we want to be in the next 4 to 5 years? What do the numbers say to us? How do the analytics look? How are we being perceived in the job market as an employer, as a brand? You know, what kind of values are we leading with? And then I would create a plan with them, creating corporate leadership programs to so that could be one thing. Or you could also, or I would also take, I think there's real value in taking leadership from the higher levels and creating video content around them sharing their journey with the lower level staff or the frontline staff or even middle management to inspire and empower for them to step into their own greatness, for the frontline staff to be able to say, you know, if my CEO has gone through this journey of hardship and speed bumps, that's what I'm going through right now. I can do that too if my CEO has done that. So I think there's a lot that we can bring into play with storytelling, doing a needs assessment, and then implementing programs that actually solve the problem and deliver results to the company. So those are some specifics that I would do.
That's a very impressive answer. You've obviously put a great deal of thought into it.
Thank you, Mike.
Thanks, Nav. Maybe I'll go next. So you're using some of the terms that I use in my day-to-day world, words like values and alignment of your values with the culture and the vision. So I'm just curious about your methodology around that. So what is your process of first individually aligning your values with the company, but then also how do you align the company's values with the overall culture of the company and then provide that productivity?
Yeah, thank you, Shauna. So if I understand you correctly, what you're saying is that how do personal values align with company values? Did I get that right?
No, how do you ensure that? Because you said you know, organizations like Amazon and Benevity are kind of where you're targeting. So how have you already done that work to realize that those values align with your own personal values? But then also, how do you as an HR professional then take those values, those corporate values, and create that culture? Because you're wanting to be a people and culture specialist. So how are you going to do that? What's your methodology?
Yeah, thank you, Shauna. Thank you for the clarification. So when I was researching which industry do I want to go into and what companies can I see myself working with, it's really important and critical for me that my personal values are aligned with the company that I'm working for. So when I was doing my research, the thing that really stood out to me in Amazon and Benevity in the technology sector is that Amazon has amazing leadership. Their company has leadership. Jeff Bezos, he actually sent out a letter to his Amazonians, his company staff, and he talked about gratitude, and he talked about you know, what the future leadership looks like at Amazon. And those kind of things excite me because those are values in action, and they create a culture. Because when values are being talked about and celebrated, you know, when we are celebrating that we are an essential service, like for example, Amazon saying we are an essential service, and we are at this time of COVID providing this essential service, it brings empowerment into even the frontline workers. Benevity, for example, I go on their website and I instantly start to feel good because their products are about aligning people with giving back in the community. And those are my values too. So that's what really stuck out to me. Now, in terms of your second question, how do we take values and insert it into bringing out the culture in an organization? I think that if culture is like an umbrella, the thing that holds the umbrella are the values. the values anchor the organization. It is what has the values have to be embedded into a company's marketing. It has to be embedded in-house, like inside the culture of an organization, but also for the outside, like the serving of the customers. So for me, I think, for example, some of my values are authenticity, being who I am, sharing my struggles and sharing my vulnerabilities. What are my flaws, and what do I do great at? I think when we put those values into action inside an organization or outside to our customers, it builds trust, and it builds an understanding of safety and belonging. It's like I feel good belonging to Amazon, because Amazon is out there doing the right work at the right time for its customers. Like, they're customer obsessed, and I love that value because I am customer obsessed. So I hope that answered your question, Shauna.
Yes, that was great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe I'll just carry on that theme of value. So good pitch. You're well spoken. Boy, what a group today. And actually, and I maybe from it as an executive, you did speak to you really connected the dots really between the value of HR and the bottom line of the company, right? Which I think is really important, because you can have always lots of soft stuff, but at the end of the day, the company has to make money, right? So,
Yes.
and be profitable so that everybody's successful. So could you tangibly say some examples or some things you would like to implement? You'd say, if as a company, we do this in HR and this for employees, how that could directly translate to the success of a company. And if you're speaking to a company that really is sales focused, what is the bottom line there?
Yeah. Thank you, Ron, for your question. An example comes to mind. For the last 5 years, I've had delved into the entrepreneurial stage of my life, where I have led my own coaching business. And in that business, I was hired as a consultant to a company. The top leaders were telling us that the organization has really low engagement rates and then retention rates. They were attracting really good talent. We were hired as a consultant. So one of the things that we did first was I created something called Pulse surveys, and it's a short survey sent out by email and sent out by Facebook messages. And to our surprise, because of the low engagement, we heard crickets. We heard 0 responses back. And so so in that moment, what I did was I then created a list, took the whole customer database, employee database, and took everybody's phone numbers and literally had 500 people on the phone to pick up and call, because that's where I shine. I'm really good at, because I speak 5 languages and have lived in 2 different cultures and in different countries, I am able to create rapport easily and easily connect with people. So I got on the phone and I said, hey, this is who I am. I'm not into the organization. I'm an outsider. But as an outsider coming in, I'm here to really understand what is really not working for you in the organization. I know that you came in with strong passion, and I know that you want to be a successful entrepreneur. Tell me what is not working for you. And I got so much information that I compiled it together and presented it to the online top leaders. And Ron, what was really interesting was that all the pain points that these people had, all the top leaders had gone through the same journey.
Really?
Everybody was fearful of putting themselves out there. Everybody had struggles with, like, what would other people think of me, or how would I take rejection? So what we did was we took people's skill and created coaching conferences around it, where we brought in-house leaders and also outside leaders who worked on their belief systems and really created a cohesive environment where everybody was able to succeed. So that engagement level where we heard crickets went to a 50% engagement rate going up in the second month. And then of course we saw the sales going up too. So everybody was really pleased with that.
That's what I was going to ask you. So once you see the engagement level up, there was the executive could clearly see the results that showed up with customers.
Yes, absolutely. And I think, Ron, what also started happening was before they were doing meetings, top leaders were getting together to really engage their staff, and nobody was even showing up. And even if they were showing up, they were disengaged because they didn't feel safe that their needs were being heard. And now they felt vested in the process, so they showed up, and they not only talked about what was in it for them, they showed up for others. They were uplifting their team members and saying, hey, I went through that too. So there was a beautiful shift in culture that also happened there.
So sorry for hogging this, but now I got to ask, so how did you make that, how did you or they make it sustainable so that wasn't just a flash in the pan?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we created was those pulse surveys that we created earlier, and now it's a policy in the organization to send out those pulse surveys every month, and everybody that comes on those calls. So there were systems put in place to continue that sustainability. So pulse surveys is one thing. Second thing that they also do is have something like an entrepreneur spotlight by different markets. So this organization is like a global company. And so you see a top entrepreneur in Australia doing amazing things as a single mom of 4 kids, So they have continued, they're cultivating those values in action now as a proof that shows up in the community communication.
Thanks, Nav.
Yeah, you're welcome, Ron.
Great, Nav. Thank you very much for your story and sharing all of that. I want to bring it around back to your brand personality. And if you're in front of an employer and you take all the experience and stories, what are your top 3 stories that demonstrate your values and what you can do for a company?
Thank you so much for that question, Caroline. The top 3 stories that I would pick out would be a story of me working as a recruiter with the city of Edmonton. I delivered a lot of tangible results in revolutionizing their recruitment processes, where instead of sitting in a silo in corporate office and helping our clients fill a seat in a role, I hired for performance. So what I did was I went out in the field to meet with my hiring managers and to learn about their business, their operations, and to see what is actually working, what kind of soft skills and personality traits these job seekers are really bringing that really move the needle in the organization. And I was able to take those soft skills, hard skills, and specific personality traits that I actually posted on the job posting. And I also posted one of the organization's biggest problems that this position would be solving. I put that on there. So I gave job seekers a chance to give us ideas on how they would solve that problem. So when I hired for performance, 6 months down the road, when the person is hired, you can see that that person is not only fitting well, but they're contributing. They're now starting to contribute back into the organization. They're also interested in learning and growing with the organization. So that's my very first example. I think I bring the value of infusing innovation into old practices. Second example that I would give is my experience of working and infusing innovation again with social media recruiting. This is also at the city of Edmonton. A call was put out to the diversity and the recruiters on the team to say, hey, we're starting a new pilot project. The top managers don't believe in it because who has done social media recruiting? This is 6 years ago, when municipalities hadn't delved into that new area of social media recruiting. It's nothing you've heard of before. Like, how do you even go about doing it? So a team of 4 recruiters, including myself, I love doing that new stuff that could really move the needle. And we created a page. Now, fast forward 6 years ago, now that page has 320,000 people who've liked that page. It's one of the main sources for not just regular recruitment, but hard to fill roles. And we also did a virtual career fair online where we created savings of $250,000 just from 4 hours of online career fair. Think about the time savings and think about, people joining from all over the world. So it broke so many barriers. We were talking to people all around the world, and job seekers got to talk to hiring managers. That was a big pain point for us before in that organization. And the third example, I think that really brings out my skills is me launching my own career coaching business. I had no plans to launch my own business. I was working as a diversity recruitment consultant. My contract ended But what started happening was my clients were following me and they're like, Nav, how can we keep in touch with you? We want to keep working with you. So I kind of fell into entrepreneurship in order to continue to serve my clients. And that is one of the best things that has happened to me in my career. Is I feel like in those 5 years of launching and building my business, I went through the perfect MBA school. You know, I had to watch the numbers. I had to be people oriented. I had to care about the results and the people. So those 3 examples, I would say, really highlight all my skills.
Okay, great. Thank
So,
you. So I pick innovator into results. So it leads to one more question, because you talk about you've tasted the life of being an entrepreneur and in charge of your own thing and going to work for a company, and you always don't have that freedom. How are you going to reconcile that?
Really good question. Thank you, Caroline. I've thought about that. And I think that not getting everything in a job is a state of mind. It's not the facts of what you're given, it's what you do with what's given. And so I completely feel okay to not have the absolute freedom to make all the decisions. In fact, I want to work as a collaborator with the decision makers and the influencers in the organization. I don't want to take the limelight of being the one person who can do it all and take all the recognition. I'm at a point in my life where I want to give back from what I've learned. I want to empower the other leaders in the organizations and really create sustainability for the organizations moving forward. So I'm completely okay with that. And I think there's always freedom of speech that I can bring in with my bold ideas. And there's always freedom to take care of people around you. And so I think I will continue to do that.
Okay, lovely, super. Thank you very much. Jed, loved your pitch. Loved your pitch.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Hey, Nav, it's Callie here. So just let us know why are you making this decision to move away from your own business into an employed situation or a contract situation?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question, Kelly. So about 5 years into running my own business, I was given the added responsibility and the gift of becoming a mother. And now I have a very busy toddler running around and keeping us on our toes. And so the priorities have really shifted for me. Before, I really wanted to, create my own direction, have freedom to really make a difference. And I think I will continue to make that difference because those are part of my value system. It's who I am. It's what I do, regardless of work or not. And at this point, I'm craving to take all of my skill sets and apply it to an organization to create some results for them. So that's why I'm taking the leap.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for sharing that with us. Okay, I'd love to hear what your aha has been in this program, this boot camp.
Yeah, what an amazing place to be. I thank my lucky stars. I must have done something right in the past career to have come to this program. My aha moment happened, it came to me about middle of the program where I saw our fierce leader, Jackie, lead us and meet us in the trenches where a lot of us had lost hope. And really, like, you look at your economy, it's looking bleak. Oil and gas is going out. What's happening? There's a lot of uncertainty with COVID. And Jackie met our talent and bred hope into it. And because we knew our cohort didn't have an assigned coach who would help us and guide us through every process, what's really beautiful is that Jackie led us in such a beautiful way, in a selfless way. She hasn't charged us a pretty penny for this amazing program. And the value of that could be seen in the culture that this cohort has created. The culture in our cohort is the best that I've seen in all the companies that I've worked for. And people have stepped up for each other in a way that you wouldn't believe. And they say that a successful culture is when everybody in the organization thinks like a CEO, thinks like a managing partner, thinks like a VP. And that is very true for our cohort. That's why that's my big aha moment. That's how you create a strong culture, is put those values in action. And I'm deeply grateful to Jackie and our cohort for bringing me this far.
Now, thank you for that. And it does very much reflect what the Grizzlies see in this in this panel today, right? It's really reflected in yourself and all the others that have come forward today in their presentations and in the space. And so how one person can lead you deep in and create a space where you then go off and mentor each other, right? And stand
Yes.
for each other.
Yes.
You know, really taking a stand, not being a bystander, but being active together
Oh,
with
that's
each
well
other.
said.
Yeah, amazing. Well said. Okay, so now we're going to bring this to a close.